Functions let you run a big block of code with just a single line. They become really important in all the next lessons too. A function lets us put a section of our code into a reusable block that we can write once and run again and again with a single line of code. The example we make in this video isn't the most useful, but it'll teach you everything you need to know so that you can use functions in the cooler lessons to come. So I'm going to go into the workspace and create a brand new script. So mouse over workspace, click the plus sign, click script. And we're going to open that script and let's delete our hello world. And my output window is closed, so I'm going to go and open it. Up to view and then output. So to create a function, you just write function and then the name of the function, and it can be whatever you want, just like when you name a variable. So I'm going to name it my function, and then you put parentheses like this, and then you go next to it, hit enter and hit end, and then anything that's going to be written in here in this middle part is going to be the code that runs when you call your function. And calling your function is just telling your computer to run your function. So inside our function for now, we'll just write print and we'll write test. And I'll hit play and you see test does not print out. And it's not that our script isn't running, it's that we're not telling our computer that we want to run this function. It's not like we wrote test here, we wrote it inside our function. And now we have to do what I was just saying, we have to call our function or tell our computer that we want it to run. So we just write my function down here. And so here we wrote the word function next to it, that means that we're creating our function, and here there's no word function next to it, that means we're calling our function. So let's hit play, and this time we'll see it prints out. See, it prints out test. All right, cool, so how is this useful? We can pass in a string here, let's just say my string, and then in here, we have to say that we're looking for a variable. So this can be whatever word. We're essentially creating a variable here that's looking for something that's going to be passed in when we call our function. So if it's empty like this, we'll just change this to the word variable, right? But this is the name that we're giving it, variable. And when we print variable, it returns nil or no value, because we're not passing in anything. But if we passed in like the number 2, it prints out 2. So you could also run this multiple times. So 8 with different numbers. And now see, it's printed out all of those numbers. Even though we only have one print statement up here, every time we call the function like this, it runs whatever inside of it. So if we had 2 print statements inside, we'd end up with 2 print statements for every time we called the function in here. See? So 2, 2, 8, 8, right? So we call the function by giving it its name, and every time we do that, it runs anything that's inside here. If we added 10 to our variable every time, it's going to add 10 to whatever we pass in when we call the function down here. And see, it's printed out 2 plus 10, 8 plus 10, and 11, 11 plus 10. And so these really become helpful when you do a lot of different operations in here. Let's say you had 10 parts and you were trying to change their properties all the same way. You could pass the part in as a variable like this and then update it here. And that would update the position that you passed in down here where you called the function. This is a result of a script I made that uses the same function inside of a while loop to change these parts' position over and over again. Okay, and now you know the very basics of functions. Now we're gonna put it to use by making your very first kill bird.